Good morning, everyone. We are happy and excited to be with you for the second day of our CSEC marathon for 2021. I am pretty sure that those of you who were with us yesterday, you were excited, you would have learned, and today is no exception. But before we get right into things, I'm going to ask you to just bow your heads for prayer. Loving Lord and our Father, we give you thanks for your blessings on our lives. We're grateful that you have spared our lives to see this blessed day. And in all things, Lord, we are here to give thanks, irrespective of our anxieties, irrespective of our level of confidence, irrespective of our preparation. We trust in you, the God of our salvation. We trust in you, the author and the finisher of our faith. We trust in you, the ruler and the creator of this universe. As we go through today's session, may it be a blessing to our hearts. And as our presenter presents, we ask for your covering over her life so that as she imparts, she will impart knowledge that will be beneficial to our students as they prepare for the examination. Collectively and individually, Lord, we ask that you be with us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. And so today we are going to be looking at English language, and to present to us is a dynamic teacher, a teacher at the Belmont Academy, a teacher who is passionate about language and literature. And I am pretty much sure that she will deliver to you some information that is going to be useful as you prepare for your examination. And so at this time, I invite Mrs. Carlene Ferraro to present to you as she is our presenter this morning. Just unmute.
Your mic is muted.
Mrs. Ferraro.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
Well, despite the fact that I'm an adult and a very able teacher, I'm speaking to a group who I would not be familiar with. So I'm having a little jitters. So please bear with me. Let me say good morning again to everyone. And I hope that the time that we spend together today will be quite meaningful to each and every one. Now, I was told that I should do a lecture. However, I am not so keen on doing lectures. I can, but at this point in time, I would prefer if I get a little feedback from you, given the fact that I would not have taught, well, as far as I know, anybody in this group no. So all I would be doing really, for those who would not have grasped aspects, let's hope you grasp some of them, or if not all. And for those who have grasped, this is just basically a review of the areas that you would have grasped. As such, we are going to venture into a little Q&A, a little question and answer. Mr. Hardy, I am not so familiar with Zoom, so I need to share my screen shortly. Now today we are going to look at paper 2 in its entirety. So all of the sections that are covered by paper 2, section A through to D. So I'm ready, Mr. Hardy, to share my screen. Oh, I can just go ahead and share it. Are you seeing my screen, everybody?
Yes, Miss.
All right. Now, CSEC and their paper 2. This paper contains 5 sections, which we should have already known about. But for the sake, say we didn't know, let's just look at the areas that we are expected to cover in paper 2. Section 1, summary essay. Section 1 is made up of Section 1 is made up of 1 compulsory question. In this section, you must write a summary of a given passage. Paper 2 directions state that in this section, you must write in continuous prose. That is, you must write using paragraphs. You must not write using note form. Also, after the stated number of words, which is 120, as you should be able to see here, requested for the summary, anything you write will not be assessed. That is simply saying to us, CSEC will only cater to and for 120 words. No more than 120 words. So if you write all of your main ideas that you would have collated should go in that 120 words, not after the 120 words. If it is that you wrote and you did not remember something that is crucial to go in that 120 words and you put it after the 120 words, you will not be marked for it. No, we must be able to write accordingly and effectively so that we will do as is required by CSEC. Now let's quickly look at section 2. Are there any questions for this section, for the summary aspect? All right, I'll continue. Section 2, the expository section. And it usually comes in the form of an essay. Section 2 consists of 1 compulsory question. You must write an expository essay in this section. You will be given a text or stimulus to prompt your writing activity. You are required to respond to the stimulus by writing either an email, a letter, a report, a notice, a newspaper article, or some other form of informational text. Please note again, your answer must be in the form of continuous prose. That means you must write using your paragraphs. And that also means that your answer cannot be in the form of jotted down notes. Let's continue. Section 3, short story essay. Section 3 is made up of 2 optional questions. The questions are prompts for 2 short story essay questions. You must choose 1 question to answer. The paper 2 exam states that your answer in this section should be approximately 400 to 450 words in length, and you must write in standard English, although you may use dialect in conversations. That's just a little addition that I had there. So your section 3 of your exam paper stipulates that your stories should be approximately 400 to 450 words in length, and you must write in standard English. Now, this is something that I tell my students every day. Remember, when you go to school, you go to an English class. you are being taught the subject English language, you're never yet told that you are taught the subject of the Jamaican dialect or the Jamaican Creole or for any form of dialect for that matter. It is English language. English language is the communication that is used worldwide for most countries. So we must get a grasp of using it, right? Now what CSEC has done, because CSEC knows that we are Caribbean countries, and more than likely, we would have been exposed to different form of dialects, different registers. CSEC has allowed us to interject our dialects in our stories as a means of conversing, but that is only done if it is interjected as dialogue, nothing more. Now let's move on to section 4, argumentative essay. Now section 4 is made up of one compulsory question. You must write an argumentative essay in this section. Your answer is or may be required to take the form of a letter to the editor of a newspaper, a formal letter to an official, a letter to a friend, a speech, a presentation, or an essay. The paper 2 exam states that your answer in this section should be approximately 250 to 300 words in length, and you must write in standard English. So the only section that you are allowed to interject a little Creole would have been section C, where you do your story writing. No other section allows you to do this. So we must know what it is that we are doing. Now we are going to get into the meat of the matter. Before I get into the meat of the matter, is there any question that you want to ask relating to the 4 sections that were just explored?
Are we supposed to like pick one section, or
No,
we're
all
supposed to do
4
all?
sections. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That question was asked, are we supposed to pick one section? Now, as stated before, at the top of the page here, it says, this paper contains 5 questions in 4 sections. All 4 sections must be completed. You have 5 questions because section C, which is the section that deals with story writing, you are given 2 questions. That is why you have 4 questions. But the other 3 areas, section EA, which is the summary, 1 question, and you must answer that question. Section B, expository writing, you must answer that question. Section D, argumentative writing, you must answer that question. Thank you for that question. Now, let's look a little deeper at what the exam is really made up of. So I'm going to share please give me a minute. All right, can everybody see that?
All right, whilst you're at it, Mrs. Farrow, I want to ask just one question. Yeah, I want to ask just one question, just, to probably be the devil's advocate. What if I did not read the instructions and I just went ahead and I did all the questions on the paper? I know there's 5 questions and I'm to do 4. What if what are the challenges that I would have faced if I just decided to do every single one of the questions?
Let me not say remember, you're given a booklet. All of the entire exam is in the form of a booklet. No, CSEC will only mark what is asked for. CSEC will not mark what is not asked for. No, in addition to you answering all of the questions, it is highly unlikely that you'll be able to finish all of the questions in that space of time that you're given and finish them correctly, meaning adequately. You have written as effectively as you can. It is going to be tedious for you. As such, you're going to put yourself in a little problem if you try to attempt. So I'll ask everybody, make sure when you get your booklet, you read the instructions carefully. Read the instructions. You also must number your questions based on how you have answered them. That too is critical in you doing the required task that CSEC asks you to do.
Thank you very much, Miss.
Yes.
Do you want to share screen, Miss?
All right, I'm sorry about that. I'm having a little eye problems. So because of that, it was right there before me and I wasn't seeing it. Nonetheless, let's
That's
carry
all
on.
right, Miss.
Can you see my screen clearly? I think it's a little pale, but I believe, let me see if I can zoom it a little. The persons will see a little better. Wow, it's too much. How about that?
That's fine, Miss.
All right. So here we have a question from paper 1, which is the summary writing, section A. You must, and if you note at the top right here, Mr. Hardy, well, students, say Mr. Hardy, you will see you must answer this question. Here we have all of the instructions. It tells you what to do. Good. It tells you that you are to read the following article on navigating social networks carefully. It continues to tell you that after reading, you are to list 5 main points. Now, these 5 main points that you will list will come from the original, the piece that they have given you, which you will summarize. You cannot, and I say you cannot just randomly come up with something from your head and write it on the paper. The 5 main points that you write must take from the piece that you are given. Now, list the 5 main points discussed, then write a summary of the article in not more than 120 words in one paragraph. In one paragraph. If this limit is exceeded, only the first 120 words of your answers will be read and assessed. Remember to include in your summary paragraph the 5 points you listed. As far as possible, use your own words. Your summary must be in continuous prose again. Your summaries must be in continuous prose. Now, if you note here, it says you are to write in one paragraph. Now, writing in one paragraph simply means you write in one paragraph. However, you must show where your paragraph begins and where it ends. Now you can use indentation to do that. So you move a little way from the margin, from the left margin, and you begin writing. And you allow your paragraph to flow. Now that paragraph will consist of the 5 main points that you would have written down previously. Now, the mark allotted for summary writing is 25 marks. However, 5 marks of that 25 marks is given to your 5 main points. So by you just writing your 5 main points, your correct 5 main points, that is, you will get 5 marks quite easily. The other 20 marks will be given based on the actual summary that you have now used these 5 main points to write. Now, what is this 20 marks for? All of these 20 marks, what does it go for? Content, organization, use of language. Use of language means the use of the standard Jamaican English. It doesn't mean Creole, standard Jamaican English. You must identify, or you'll be assessed on how well you identify the main ideas and opinions in this extract. Organize and express these ideas and opinions in your own words. You are going to also be marked for use of appropriate grammar, sentence structure, vocabulary, spelling, and punctuation. Now, give me a minute. I need to. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see clearly whatever is projected here on the screen because it's very pale. Let me try again. In the meantime, I'm going to be asking a few questions. Now, when we do our summary writing, what are some of the prerequisites? What are some of the key things we need in order to be able to write an effective piece of summary? I'd like some answers, please. Is there anything in particular that we need to know before we can safely say, yes, we are able to write summaries? What are some of these things that we should be able to do prior to going to the exam to write a summary that we would be able to gain maximum marks for? Anybody? Mr. Hardy, see if you can help me out here, please.
Miss, can you repeat the question?
Oh, you're not hearing me clearly. So I'm asking, can you tell me some of the things you need to do in order to be able to write effective summaries? What are some of these things that you were taught before now? some of the things that we include in our summaries? Come on, don't tell me that.
The main ideas and
Main
supporting
ideas, very
details.
good. Supporting details are also correct. Anybody else?
Conclusion.
No, we don't need a conclusion in our essay. If you're to write, well, we need a closing sentence. We need a closing sentence, not so much of a conclusion. Remember, you are only asked to write 120 words, which is not very long. And most of you in this forum now would have written or done your English ASBAs. Am I right?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
No, miss.
Right. And the first piece that you would have written for your English ASBA is the plan of investigation. What amount of word? What's the word limit for the plan of investigation? Are you hearing me clearly?
I'm
Or is
hearing
it that
you.
you're not hearing me? So I'm asking what the plan of investigation that you would have written not too long ago for your English ASBA. What is the word limit that you were told to work with in writing your plan of investigation?
100.
100,
100
90 to
words.
100
No,
words.
right. So having written that, thank you, Shelley. Having written that, how many sentences would you have gotten if you were to just write 90 to 100 words? Would it be 10 sentences?
No, miss.
Right.
No, read so much.
No, it had to be shorter than that. And CSEC is just asking you to go 20 words more than 100 words. So that cannot be anything that is considered lengthy. All right. So we keep our main ideas. We make sure that our summaries have our main ideas, right? We also make sure that we have a little supporting detail. No, nothing too wordy. Good. Nothing too wordy. Someone also pointed out that we should have a closing sentence. No, all is good and well if we have those. What are some of the crucial things we should ensure that we don't put in our summaries? What are some of these things?
You have to omit if there's any statistical data, you remove it. You omit unnecessary information.
Good. So if the original piece that we got has in any form of statistical data, we leave those out. What else should we leave out of our summaries?
Omit examples.
The use of examples. The use of examples. Now, sometimes this part of it can be a little tricky. Why this is so? We might see something and we believe it is examples and we need to take it out. However, what we see can be that it's just further explanation to what is presented to the main idea. Good. How do we determine what is an example? How do we determine that what we see here are indeed examples, is an example of something, and we need to leave it out? How do we determine that? So we look for phrases such as, for instance, for example. In addition to that, everybody with me?
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
Now, with all of that, we look again closely for the use of punctuation marks, specifically the use of the comma. Now, of a comma. We know that when things are listed, What is used to separate these the listing, the items listed? A comma. So as long as we see one sentence and after every word or phrase, we see the use of a comma, we know that what? This is or these are examples which we must leave out of our summaries. Another thing that we need to leave out of our summaries, redundant statements. What is a redundant statement? Can anybody tell me?
Constant repetition.
Can anybody tell me? Somebody was talking a while ago, but I didn't hear. Can anyone tell me what is a redundant statement?
This a statement that can be unnecessary or might not be useful.
Right, so it's a redundant statement is a statement that uses two words in a sentence and the two words carry the same idea. One has to be redundant. So let me give you an example. Reverse back. Have you ever heard us as Jamaicans or Jamaicans talk and you hear one person say to another, reverse back the car? Come on, folks, talk to me.
Yes, miss.
Right. What does the word reverse mean? What does the word reverse means? To?
Go back.
Go back.
To go back. And the word back means to do what?
Go back as well.
Go back as well. Therefore, both words should not be used together in the same sentence. That is what we mean when we say the sentence, we have redundancies in a sentence. All right? We have other redundant statements such as come together. Assembled is used along with together. We have a number of them. So redundancies is another thing. Redundancies are another thing that we should remove from our summaries. However, in order to do that, we must be able to identify them. All right? We also should leave out repetition. We also should leave out repetition. Now, repetition is somewhat similar to redundancies. However, with redundancies, it is the two words that mean the same thing or carry the same idea that are used together. Now, with repetition, we'll have one sentence stating one thing. And right after that sentence, we have another sentence phrased in another way, but it means the same thing as the first sentence. Is everybody with me?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Right. So we are off. We have looked at. Can you name me some of the things now that we should not include in our, and those are not, we are not limited to just those. We have illustrations too that we should leave out of our summaries. The sharing of stories comes also as a part of the illustrations. So you give a short little story. That's not necessary in our illustrations, in our summaries rather, I'm sorry. Good? So what are some of the things now quickly that we leave out of our summaries? Can everybody share one with me?
Repetition.
Thank you.
Redundancies.
Somebody, redundancies. Another one.
Examples.
Thank you. Examples. Let me have another one.
Just the removal of statistical data. There's
The
any.
removal of statistical data, right? No. Are you all seeing my screen? No. When you go to the exam, this is where you are expected to list your 5 main points. Right here. You must write your points for the summary on this page. This is where it has to be written. And if you notice right here, you'll see 5 marks for you writing the 5 points here. Please note that there's a little section on one of the pages that says you can write your notes in this area. However, it will not be marked. Please note, people, you should not write your 5 main points there. Good? This is where you write your 5 main points. Now, if we were to look back at the page, Mr. Hardy?
Yes. Do you see an arrow to either the left or the right?
No,
Just click
that's
on
what
the.
I'm searching for, and I'm not seeing it.
All right. You want to just close the sharing and then start sharing again?
I might have to do that.
Yes.
Whoa.
That's all right. It happens. Well,
I don't want this page. I don't want that page. So here we go again. But the arrows are not being shown here. And this is what I need to go back and forth. All right, guys, I'll have to close the picture and open it again. Please bear with me. In the meantime, I'm going to ask that you think about the paraphrasing technique. Now, when we write our summaries, in addition to deleting examples, omitting statistical data, being able to identify redundancies and repetitions and all of the don'ts that we do for summary writing, that information which we have left, we now need to get that information down to, in order to compact it, to get it to that 120 words. What is it that we do in order to be able to get it down to where we want it to do?
just one already.
Now, I use the paraphrasing technique, and that is a technique that I recommend anybody to do, anybody to use rather, the paraphrasing technique. Now, in this technique, you have 4 different things in which you can use. Now, what are those 4 things? First, you can group.
All right, students, let us give Mrs. Ferraro a few minutes to get back with us. All right, so I want for you to just help me recap based on what is it that she has indicated. Why is it that we need to remove from writing a summary any repetitive phrases or words? Why do you think it is important for us to remove those or exclude them from the presentation? Is Galaxy S9 still with us? Person who is signed in as Galaxy S9, you want to tell me why, if we remove repetitive words, it will make our presentation a bit more effective?
My net went.
All right, so we are still waiting on Galaxy S9 to respond. Shanicia, you want to help her or help him?
No, thank you.
No, man, still try. I know, even though you don't want to help. Why do you think it is important for us to eliminate repetitive words? There must be a reason why we don't put them there. What would have been the greatest importance?
It's not necessary. It's not
It
needed.
is not. And why do you think it is not necessary? It's not needed. But what else? There's one thing that I'm particularly looking for. How many words are you expecting to write?
120.
120. So if you write 2 words that mean the same thing, aren't you eliminating some essential words that you would need to put in? So if we put in repetitive words, it would mean therefore that we're cutting down the essential words that we need to use in the 120 words. Back to you, Mrs. Ferraro.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just use this opportunity to build on what you have said. Now remember, students, you are asked only to write 120 words. Therefore, why would you need to be saying something and it's that one thing that you say throughout your summary? You have only a short space in which to write, for want of a better word. So therefore, your summary must be compact. Remember, as was stated earlier, you are expected to include the main idea, the main ideas presented to you in the original piece. Now, if you're going to do that, there is no space, no room at all for repetition. So let's go back to where we were when we got disrupted. Now, one of the criteria given by CSEC is that this information that you now summarize and present to them for marking should be in your own words as best as possible. How is it that you get all of this information in your own words? So your own words simply means that what is it that you understand based from what was presented or what is presented to you. Now, we use the paraphrasing technique to do that. And I stated earlier that in doing the paraphrasing technique or in using it, the paraphrasing technique carries 4 different parts to it. 1, you can group. Anybody remembers? Am I by myself?
When you were listening, them you got cut off.
Okay. So as I was saying before, the paraphrasing technique, one aspect of it says we can group, classify, and categorize. Let's say that again. Group, categorize, and classify. All 3 words mean the same. So say, for example, you're writing, and whatever it is that you're writing about, you need to mention 4-legged things. You write pigs, cows, goats, donkeys, horses, dogs. Can someone give me a name for all of those?
Animals.
Animals. Animals. So right then and there, if you have removed all of those words, how many words will you replace all of those with? 1 word. We should be able to group,
Categorize.
thank you, and what?
Classify.
Classify.
Classify. Classify. Yes.
Classify. And I expect that you should be taking little jottings, you know. Group, categorize, and classify. Now, so that's one type of paraphrasing technique. When you group, categorize, and classify, you limit your wording. So your wording
All right, so Mordecai,
Yes, sir.
yeah, since as I appreciate your participation, and this is one of the things that we want in the sessions, for
Yes, sir.
people
Thank you.
to participate. As Mrs. Ferraro mentioned just a while ago, and you were accurate in terms of identifying the category or the broader umbrella for those species that she listed. How
Yes, sir.
important do you think it is to not just write every single thing that comes to your mind when you're looking at a summary versus probably other things that you are expected to do? Can you just
As
get
in
up
a summary, you're,
yeah, go ahead.
as in a summary, you're expected to do a compact, write a compact paragraph, basically. So you wouldn't
And
like include unnecessary things that aren't supposed to be in there.
very good. So the essence in the summary is the compactness, but also, as Mrs. Ferraro said in the earlier part, is to ensure that your main ideas go where? After the 120 words or before the 120 words? Or within the 120 words?
Yes,
Should the main points or everything that we really want to say go after the 120 words or before or within the 120 words?
within the
Within
120 words.
Within the 120. Yeah, within the 120 words. So it's not, we can't just go ahead and say, oh, I read this and this comes to mind. It must be able to bring out the main points, as she said, in the summary. Back with you, Mrs. Ferraro. Again, we apologize. We all know the challenges that Flow and digital presents, but it's not going to daunt our efforts to ensure that we do the best that we can in preparing and ensuring that we pass our examinations. So we will continue. Just give me a minute to get my supplemental presentation so that we can, in the event that she is unable to, that we still have our sessions. In the meantime, I have sent a link in the chat. We have a WhatsApp group that we share ideas, we entertain questions. We ask you to join the group so that you will be able to understand or become a little bit more familiar with what is it that is happening.
Mr. Hardy, are you hearing me?
Yes, miss, you can go right ahead.
Yes, but I'm going to close my camera. My bandwidth is quite low, and for that reason, let's see if we can get some meaning instead of me having to leave.
All right.
The internet is not, it's crappy.
So I'll keep mine on and mute my microphone and then.
Okay. All right, so let's just jump back in where we were. So we were looking at the paraphrasing technique of grouping, categorizing, and classifying. Now, if we were to write, and we'd like to write using the words pencils, erasers, sharpeners, paper, rulers, what name could we use to group, categorize, or classify all of the names that I just gave to you?
Stationery.
Stationery. And please remember now that we must be mindful of spelling when we write our summaries. You are marked for spelling. We are doing an English language course, or subject for that matter. Therefore, our spelling is noted. Now, let's look at another few examples. So here we have hurricane, earthquake, fire, flood, and a volcanic eruption. What could we group all of these to be?
Natural disasters.
Natural disasters. And not the last one. Unrest, violence, riot, persecution, poverty, and teenage pregnancy. What could we call all of these?
That would be social issues.
Social issues, thank you. Social issues. So you understand what it is that we do when we group, categorize, or classify. Now, we're going to look at another technique from the paraphrasing technique umbrella. So in addition to grouping, categorizing and classifying, we can also change the vocabulary that we have there that is given to us. Now, in order to change the vocabulary that is given to us, what is it that we must have or know in order to change the vocabulary?
Please repeat, Miss.
The 5 main points.
In order to be able to, so we are looking at paraphrasing technique now quickly. We have looked at one aspect of the paraphrasing technique, because remember, CSEC is asking you that whatever information they have given to you, you must now present this information to them in your own words. In order to do that, or when you do that, it simply says to the marker or the examiner, hey, this is a student who understands what summary writing is, who can write an effective piece of summary. Good? Now, in order for us to do that, we must be able to change the vocabulary that was originally given to us. Now, for you to change the vocabulary, what is a key thing that you must be able to know or do? You must know and you must be able to do it. What is it? You must know words. As the word vocabulary suggests, words. Words. As I always say to my students, your use of language should reflect the stage that you are. Now, all of you here, supposedly, I'm just going to go out on a limb, no one suggested, are upper school students, fifth formers, grade 11. As such, your words should reflect the stage you are. In order to effectively write a summary, you must be able to use different words, change up whatever you're given. These words are called synonyms. So we have one thing that is said one way using one set of words. We as students can now give back what is said to us in a different word. However, using different words. However, whatever word we use or whatever words we use should not take us or should not change the meaning of whatever was presented to us. Do we understand?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
Yes,
All right.
Miss.
A third thing that we should be able to do, use different sentence structure. And when we say use different sentence structure, it simply means that we rearrange the order of the words. So for example, the boy kicked the ball. Did we hear that sentence?
Yes, Miss.
The boy kicked the ball. Can you change the structure of that sentence for me? You just rearrange the order of the words. Give it to me in a different order. Don't change any words.
The ball
Just
was
change the order of
ball.
the ball was kicked by the boy. Now, can someone tell me what was done? So the first sentence we have is, the boy kicked the ball. One student said, the ball was kicked by the boy. What was done to rearrange the order of the words in this new sentence? All right. So the subject was moved from the beginning of the sentence to the end of the sentence. Now, in the first sentence that you were given, can anyone identify the subject of the sentence? Let me repeat the sentence. The boy
The boy.
kicked the ball. What was that, Mordecai?
Subject would be the boy.
The subject would be the boy. Now in the second sentence, which the student gave, the student said, the ball was kicked by the boy. Now in this second sentence, where does the subject of the sentence appear or fall? At
The end.
the end. So we have shifted the structure of the sentence. We have moved the subject of the sentence from the beginning of the sentence to the ending of the sentence. I hope everybody is with me. Now, in addition to using different sentence structure, we can also use different grammar. Now, when we say grammar, the use of grammar means several things. However, for this topic, it simply means that you can change the part of speech of a word, or you can change the tense of a word. Good? However, when you do that, you must ensure that one consistent tense is being used in your summaries. So if you see it in past tense, you cannot change it. If you change it to present tense, the use of present tense now must be used consistently throughout the summary. You cannot mix both. So you can't use present tense and you can't use past tense. You must stick to one tense. Now, in addition to those three, you can use all of them. You can use either one or two or three, or you can use all three of them together. When you use these paraphrasing skills, it simply shows the marker that, yes, this is a student who knows how to, or who has learned how to paraphrase effectively. Now I'm going to give you a sentence really quickly, and I want you to change it for me. Let me see if I can put it in the chat for everybody to see. Can everybody see that?
Yes, miss.
Dealing with a belligerent child can be a daunting task for most parents. Now, in the interest of time, I am going to type a sentence that is similar to this. And you are going to tell me which of the paraphrasing techniques I have used in order to change the sentence. Now, please remember that when you use some of these paraphrasing techniques, it is not a must that the new sentence that you have written will be shorter. It is shorter if you group, categorize, and classify. All right. So here is the first sentence. Dealing with a belligerent child can be a daunting task for most parents. The new sentence. Parents can find it a real challenge to handle aggression in their children. Based on the techniques that we have looked at a while ago, can you tell me which of the techniques I have used to change this sentence?
That would be you change the vocabulary of the sentence.
Yes, I changed the vocabulary. Did I use anything else? Anybody else?
Miss, you categorize this?
What did I do to categorize? Did I give you a sentence with listing, or was it that I just gave you a sentence?
I see where you change shall to your plural,
I pluralized. So I took it from what?
child to children.
Child to children. So yes, that's a part of grammar. So instead of keeping it to one child, I changed it and I pluralized it to children. What else did I do?
You change
Remember,
belligerent to aggressive. Well, belligerent and being aggressive would be the same thing. So you change it from belligerent to aggression.
to aggression. However, do they keep, are both words in the same form? Belligerent here would be what? What would be function of this word? Part of speech now. Remember that I said we could have changed it from, we could change a part of speech. So we can take it from a adjective to a, here the ION signifies that it's a noun.
Yeah, noun.
The belligerent here would be describing the child. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are there any questions based on all that we have looked at? Any questions? No, no questions, and we understand. We understand fully, based on our little discussion, what is required of us in the summary, in doing a summary.
Yes,
you have
miss.
to talk back to me.
Yes, miss.
Okay. All right, fine. So we are going to move on to section B. And what did we say section B contains? Let me go back to that. So I'm going to stop sharing for this thing is really something else. All right, you should be seeing my screen now. Section B.
Yes, miss.
Right. I'm coming and just finding my hard copy so that I can maneuver this thing a little quick better. All right. So the top of it would say, I'm not sure if you're seeing everything on the page. CSEC gives you a suggested time of 30 minutes. And again, you are told that you must answer this question. Write your answer on the ruled pages provided. They give you the numbers of these pages. There may be more space than you need. There is a blank space on page 9 for any notes you may want to make. This will not be marked. Now, let's look at what is presented to us. And please note again that the marks allotted for this question is 30 marks. 30 marks. It's not a little bit of marks. So you must nail this one. There are two, and we aim for maximum marks. Not for 10 marks, not for 15 or 20 marks, but the 30 marks. Study the situation presented below and then complete the task that follows. Now remember, as was said earlier, in this section, things are taken from the informative discourse topics. So some of the areas that fall under informative discourse would be emails. Have we looked at emails, people? Have you looked at emails? Do you know
Yes,
what is an email? How is it that an email is written? The do's and don'ts of emails. Notices. How is a notice written? What is a notice for? How is it presented? The format that a notice takes. A number of things, as was projected earlier. Now let's go. Your Form 5 class of St. John's High School, located at Aston Bay, St. John, was carrying out an experiment in your science laboratory, in the period before lunch on 30 April 2019. Your teacher, Mr. Daly, had to leave the room to meet a parent at the office. Two students, Mary St. Rose and Andrew Campbell, rolled up sheets of paper around a ball and began to throw it at each other. Mary threw the ball and Andrew did not catch it. The ball hit a set of beakers on one of the desks next to them. The beakers fell and broke. When Mr. Daly returned to the science laboratory, he inquired about the cause of the incident, but no one responded. Mr. Daly then asked that the area be cleaned, and he informed the students that their parents would be contacted to pay for the broken beakers. After the class, he reported the matter to the school's principal, Mr. John Clark, who asked the class prefect to write a report of the incident to be submitted to him. Imagine you are the class prefect. Write the report to the principal. Now, this is how CSEC will assess you. 1, how is it that you formatted the report? Select relevant and complete information. Organize and express the information in your report. How did you use appropriate grammar, sentence structure, vocabulary, spelling, and punctuation? Your report must be in continuous prose. Remember, when you write for CSEC, you must write in continuous prose. It cannot be that everything is in a block. You must show paragraphing. Now let's look at the scenario that's presented to us. Now, some of the things that we didn't mention earlier that were mentioned before is that in section B, you might be asked to write different reports. Now, what are some of these reports that you would have explored in class before now? Can I quickly hear some of these reports? What some of these reports are?
Incident report.
Incident report, very good. Anybody else? Come on, people. Accident report. Newspaper reports. Eyewitness report. Field trip report. And accident reports. Now, incident and accident reports are very close. Very, very close. Now, if we look at this scenario that is given to us, what type of report is requested? What type of report are your markers expecting you to write?
An incident report.
Incident report.
An incident report.
Incident.
And people, if you note in the scenario that is given, it states it twice, the type of report you should put. Did anybody notice that?
No, miss, I never noticed that.
Yes, so we look at paragraph 2. He inquired, first line paragraph 2, he inquired about the cause of the incident. Second to last line, paragraph 2. No, that's not where it is. Yes, last line of paragraph 2. Who asked the class prefect to write a report of the incident to be submitted to him? Now, in compiling this incident report, where will you get information from to write this report?
From the passage.
From the passage or the scenario that is given. Who are you to assume? What should you imagine that you are? Who you are? What post will you write the report from?
Class prefect.
The class prefect. Now, who will the report be submitted to?
The principal.
The principal. Now, in writing a report is a formal piece of informative discourse correspondence. Therefore, we must have the relevant information in it. Now, can somebody quickly tell me how the format or the outline this report would take? What comes at the top? What comes the middle? So on and so forth. I want to hear. So what do we put at the top of our reports?
The type of report, miss.
And we think that is necessary. So I'm going to ask the others. Remember that they have already told you what type of report, so they know what it is that they are looking for. They know what it is that they're looking for. So what goes at the top of our report?
The date.
The date. The time when the incident took place.
I want to ensure that all of us is on the same page. All of us. So let's think about it for a second and tell me how we write our reports.
You start with to, from, date, and read.
That's how you were taught?
Miss, are you talking the format that we should write the report in the incident? Yeah,
Yes, that's the format I'm speaking about.
so you can write it in the form of a business. No, a letter R. Yeah, a letter R.
Yes, yes. That's what I'm looking for.
A formal.
If we listen for a minute, people, if we are to write the report beginning with to, from, date, subject, what format would that be replicating? That would be the format for what?
Block format.
No,
For
that would be the
informal
format for a
email.
memorandum. A
Memorandum.
memorandum. So let's run with the business letter. Remember that reports are somewhat similar to that of a business letter. There are just some things that we include in a business letter that is not necessary for a report. Good? So if we're going to use this structure, the format of a business letter, how would we begin this report? What would come at the top?
You would have an address.
An address. Whose address? Am
You would
I
have
just going to
The
randomly
school.
choose an address and write?
you would have
No,
your
the school address.
Why would I have the school's address? Please look closely at the scenario and listen. One thing you will find out about me is when I ask question, it doesn't mean that when you answer, if I ask another question, you're incorrect. I am just asking for you to answer me with conviction to say to me, yes, miss, I know what it is that I'm speaking about. I am sure. So I'm now asking you again, why would I use the school's address?
Because it's direct to the school principal. The incident happened at the school.
So one, you're saying that the incident happened at the school, and two, that it is directed to the principal. However, that doesn't tell me who. I'm not seeing the name of the, who answered me a while ago. Okay, so for the person who answered me a while ago, what if you are writing me a letter, right? Would your address affect me? Let's go, people. I don't know if Kerisia, Galaxy 9, Shanicia, Shelit, Aisha, Kiana. Come now, let's talk. I don't want to just be telling you things. Once I ask, can you answer, even if you're not going in the right direction, and I will be able to help you up.
Can you repeat the question for me, please?
So I'm asking, in writing your report, why would you use the school's address? I was told that the address that is placed at the top would be the school's address. So I'm asking, why would you place the school's address at the top? So, all right, we place this address at the top because on the letter, in the scenario, what does it tell you to imagine yourself as?
This prefect of a class.
The class prefect. Now, where is the school located? You must use that address. One, the incident took place at the school. In addition to that, you are to write the letter based on the fact that you are the class prefect rather. Therefore, you cannot, do you go to school at your homes?
No, miss.
Oh, miss.
No. So therefore, it is a must that you will use the school's address as the class prefect. Now, after writing that address that you would write as your own, what is that address called?
Is it the business address?
The sender's address. The sender's address. Now, after the sender's address, what would come next?
Is it date?
Yes, the date. However, please bear in mind that you were given a date in the scenario. Now, how do you determine which date you would use?
Because it's on the date that it happened in the scenario. On the date that it happened. You should write. You should
So
write the.
but you go ahead.
You should write the incident based on the date that it took place.
Yes, you can. You can. And I would tell you yes, just to ensure that there is no mix-up of anything. What tense should the report be written in?
Past tense.
Why? Why past tense?
Because it already happened.
Right. So it's past and gone. So you must record it in past tense. Now, having written the date, right? What comes next?
Then you would have a salutation.
So we'll have our salutation, right? And what would we put for our salutation?
Dear sir, because it's a male principal, so.
You can write dear sir or madam if you don't know what gender your principal is. What comes after the salutation?
Then we'll begin writing your letter.
No, we are leaving out
The
one
body
key
of the
thing.
letter. The body of the letter. The body of the letter.
The subject line. You must have a subject line. You must have a subject line to say, yes, this is what the report is going to be about. So you have your subject line. Some persons will put the word re with a colon, re with a colon, and you briefly in one sentence say something. Incident in Form 5 class at St. John's High School on 30 April 2019. Good? So you cannot leave out your subject line. Now, what comes after the subject line? The body of the report. Now, in the body of the report, we must have all of the information presented to us here. So the first paragraph of the body will give an introduction as to what took place and what the report is basically about, right? Paragraph 2 can give further details on the incident itself, what went on in the incident. And paragraph 3 now will tell us action after the incident. Is it that the students were told to clean up or to pay for the beakers? Were the students suspended? What? That is what goes in paragraph 3. And then we have our closing. Do we understand?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
All right. Please ensure that you do. So we are going to look at, are there any questions, by the way?
So, miss, in the introduction,
Yes?
that is where the who, the what, and the when, and the where it comes out, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. That is correct. So remember now, the introductory part gives us all of that information. And if you should look at your scenario here, that's before you. Where did the incident take place?
At your school in the classroom.
Form 5 class
Yes,
of
Form 5.
St. John's High School, and where it's located. Isn't that so? And
Yes,
you
miss.
also here have it mentioned that it was in the science laboratory. The date is also there. And when you look at it, the names of the parties involved, the 2 students, and Mr. Daly, who is their teacher, who they were supposed to have in that science laboratory at the time. That forms all of your introductory paragraph. Now, what aspect of the scenario would come out in paragraph 2?
What took place?
What took place? So we can begin with 2 students. What they did. All of that. And then this aspect now, the second paragraph of the scenario goes into the third paragraph. And you would have had your report. Simple, isn't that so?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, because all of the information is presented to you. Now, let's go on to the section C, which is, what does section C cover again?
Short story.
Summarize.
Short story. Story writing. Story writing. Now, in this section, you are asked to write 400 to 450 words in length. What can you tell me about narrative writing? What are some of the key things we need to know in order to write a story? A story that can get us 25 marks.
Mrs. Ferraro?
Yes, sir.
Can you just stop sharing for a minute so I can probably try share something to see if probably that may give a little. All right, so. I think. Does that give you any better view?
Yes, sir. Here.
Yes, and it is say, well, yes. Yes, it's better. Thank you, sir. So I'm asking, do we know anything about the elements of story writing?
Yes, miss.
All right, tell me some of the elements, please, quickly. Should we include characters in our stories?
Yes, miss, and the setting.
Right? So let's look at them one at a time quickly. So the characters can be what? Can we only have human characters?
No, miss.
No, miss.
What other type of characters can we have?
Can have animal character.
Animal.
Animal characters, yes, and objects.
Objects, like pencil.
Yes. Let's look at, what's the name of the movie? Cars. Do we see any humans in Cars? Is Lightning McQueen a human people?
No,
a
miss.
human being?
Cars. Cars.
So you've never watched Cars?
Yes, miss.
So who is Lightning McQueen?
He's a car.
Is a car. Right. Let's look at Transformer. Give me the name of one of the characters. Optimus
Bumblebee.
Prime.
Bumblebee.
And Bumblebee. Well, I only know about Optimus Prime, really.
Yes, I can also like satisfy when it food them like supermarket talk and it.
Yes. Yes. right? You also have this Jamaican author, Anthony Winkler, who has written a very good novel, The Lunatic. Now, he has three major characters in The Lunatic: a man, a woman, and a tree. This tree is a dynamic character because there is nothing that these human characters do that the tree is not a part of. If we again should look at Brother Bear, has anybody ever watched or seen Brother Bear? Talk to me, people, please. I wonder if it's my internet.
No, miss.
So why you not
Nothing is wrong
talking
with
to
the
me?
internet.
So why you not why are you in malice with me now? And we have been going on so well. So we can use our characters, any kind of characters we want, anything. If we look at there is this character with a bee. I think it's the Princess and the Frog, Raymond. But Raymond is a bee. Firefly. And Raymond is such an awesome character. Raymond sings. Raymond just fills my heart with love. When I hear Raymond sing, I want to sing too. Now, these are some of the ways in which we can make our characters come alive based on what we want to use, right? Now, somebody mentioned setting. What is setting? When we write and incorporate the element of setting, what are some of these things that we include in setting? So we can look at time, date, place, era. So we can look at era, and era now here means an era like the Elizabethan era, when Queen Elizabeth ruled, and she extended her rule as far as Scotland, all over. We can look at BC, before Christ, right? Period. 21st century, 19th century, 18th century. Good? In addition to all of that, we can also look at climatic conditions, right? I hope everybody is listening. Good? So climatic conditions. So you know that we have, or even though we are living in the tropics, there are other countries that experience marked difference in their climatic conditions. So you have summer, winter, autumn, and spring. Notwithstanding, we can also look at landscape, buildings, scenery. For us here in Jamaica, we can look at it if it's rainy, if it's windy. We also can look at the time of day or the time of night. Is it morning or evening? Is it midday? Is it dusk? Is it dawn? Everybody with me?
Yes, miss.
Yes, ma'am.
Boy, I don't like it. It sounds like I've lost you, and I don't want to lose you at this point because we're almost through the paper. All right, so that's it for setting. The element we must incorporate in our story writing section. Pardon me?
Plot.
Plot. Thank you. Plot. Now, what is plot? Plot is simply the sequencing of events. Now, for everything in life is a process. Isn't that so? Is that so, by the way?
Yes, miss.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Miss.
So when we were born, we had to be fed and cared for as a baby. Then we started to creep, walk. We go to basic school. We go to primary school. We then go to high school. And then we go to tertiary education. Good? So it's one after the other. something has to happen first in order for something else to happen. When you dress in the mornings to go to school, do you put your shoes on and then you put your socks on?
No, miss, that can't work.
Thank you. That sounds like Mordecai. Can't work. As this character on YouTube would say, that can't happen, brother. Right? So everything follows a process. So it is with our story writing. Has anybody ever seen the plot diagram?
Repeat, miss.
Has anybody ever seen the plot diagram? What a plot diagram looks like?
No.
So remember, we are
No,
going to
miss.
edit
miss.
from plot.
No, miss.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes, miss?
I need to find the plot diagram in my things here to show them. Please give me a minute.
All right, no problem. You want me to share one for you, miss, and see if it works? All right, look at this one.
All right.
Can that work?
Yes. Yes. All right. Can you move it over a little more for me? Please. Mine has Mr. Hardy?
Yes, miss.
Yes. Yes, I just asking to bring over the page a little more, a little to my right. Perfect. Now, can everybody see what is here?
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Yes,
Can you
miss.
get it? It's clear enough?
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
Okay, good. Now, this is what we call a plot diagram. And all of here is where our story lies. Good? So then, all of the other elements that we mentioned and what we have not mentioned so far would fall into the plot diagram. So here we have at the beginning, the exposition, beginning of the story where characters and setting are introduced. So as long as you have your exposition, you must give the marker, the examiner, an insight as to who your characters are going to be. And I'm not saying no that all of your characters must be mentioned here. Some can, but the major ones, the minor ones will come further down. And your setting. All right. Now, do you see? Let me use my cursor. Do you see where the arrow is pointing here? Mr. Hardy,
Yes,
put your cursor.
miss.
Bring it right in the corner here at the end of exposition. You see it, Mr. Hardy? Right there. That's where our conflict would fall, right? After the conflict, we have rising action, where the main character faces a series of conflicts. Now, right here at the top is our climax. That is the most exciting part of the story, the high point of the story, the highest point of the story. So when you're reading a novel, that is where you cannot put the novel down. When you're watching a movie, that is where you are at the edge of your seats because you need to know what is going to happen. All of the action falls into this part. Then we have the falling action. Events leading to the end of the story, right along this line here. Good. And after the falling action, we have the resolution. So the falling action, in other words, is when things are beginning to cool down. All of the adrenaline is finally coming down to settle and our hearts stop racing. And we start to try to lean back a little, right? And the resolution now is the end of the story. Sometimes we like the end, sometimes we are not in favor of the end. Nonetheless, it is the resolution. Now, let's quickly look at, so we're still on the plot diagram. However, we are looking at another element which is crucial to the plot diagram. Mr. Hardy, if you may know, I'd like to share my screen.
Go ahead, Mrs. Ferraro.
All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, miss.
Good. So here we have the same information as was shown to you before being replicated on this diagram. We have our exposition just the same. We have our conflict, but the conflict would fall here. We have our rising action, our climax, falling action, and resolution. Now, the conflict. We cannot have a story without a conflict. We cannot have a story without a conflict. Now, we have different types of conflict. Two major types of conflicts. So these types would be internal being one, and the other one would be what?
External.
Yes, external. So internal and external. Now, in addition to the two types of conflicts, we have four kinds of conflicts. 4 kinds of conflict. So we can have conflict where we have man versus man, which simply means that man is fighting against man. We have another kind of conflict where man is versus society. Man versus society.
All right, so we may have lost Mrs. Ferrara again. I trust and hope that we are all still there. Are we?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So as she was saying that every story must have a conflict. There is no story that doesn't have any excitement. There must be some source that you're anticipating to get what is really going to happen next, sort of the suspense that we're looking at. And so if you're not making an interesting story to see the build-up of events and then the turn of events to see how things are going to unfold, because once the conflict comes, the spice of the story gets into the meat of the matter. And then when we recognize that people start, okay, probably at the point where people start to intervene, then we basically have, the climax. But the truth is, if your story don't have a conflict, might as well you don't write it. You understand me? So whilst you're thinking about the character, because the truth is now, before you start even thinking about who your characters are, you must know what kind of conflict you're going to put in your story, because that is going to help now to determine how you choose your characters. Back to you, Mrs. Ferraro.
Thank you, sir. So the conflict is what gives our stories body. We can't have a story or a plot without our conflict. Good. Something has to have happened in order for it to send a ripple for something else to happen. Good. The characters are minor. The characters, though important, the characters are minor. It cannot be written without characters, but they are minor because you have different characters, 3 different sets of characters that you can choose from. So let's go back to the types of conflicts. So we have man versus man versus society, man versus circumstances. And the last one which I was on is man versus himself or herself. Now, if we were to look at that, which kind of conflict would that fall under? If I'm saying to you that this character, this conflict is a man, I am going against myself. That tells you that where is this conflict coming from? Within me. Now, if we were to look at the 2 types of conflict, external and internal, this kind of conflict, man versus himself, would go under. Would go under what? Internal conflict. Would go under internal conflict. The others would more likely fall under external conflict. Now, when we look at internal conflict, I don't know if you have ever watched this movie, Split, where this character had 27 different personalities.
Yes, miss.
27 different personalities, right? Now, it is because of all of this turmoil going on inside this character, which caused all manner of things to be happening. So these characters that he had to be living with would have caused the conflict in this movie. Now I hope we understand as it relates to conflict. Now let's quickly look at theme. What is theme? Theme is the controlling or central insight, the underlying meaning that a writer is trying to convey to his or her readers. So, and if we look right across the board, we can see a theme coming from anything, right? The title of the story that you're writing may also give insight as to the theme of your story. Now, I believe we have quickly looked at all of the, no, we have left out one. Point of view. Point of view. Point of view meaning the perspective from which the story is told. Who is telling this story? Do we know anything about point of view?
I mean, like first person narration and those things.
Yes. First person, third person. How do we know? What do we use when we want our writing or stories to reflect a first person perspective? What is it that we use? The use of the personal pronoun. I, me, my. If it is third person, what is it that we use? It is still pronouns, but what pronouns do we use? I wonder if everybody is hearing me. Everybody hearing me?
Yes, Miss, we're hearing you.
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
miss. Yes, miss.
Oh, okay. So I'm asking, I said earlier, when it is first person, we use the pronoun I, me, my. Has to be you. Now, if it is third person,
Miss, you're freezing.
All right, so it is now our time to continue the discussion. When it speaks of third person, what are the pronouns that we use?
They, she, them,
Okay.
it.
Anybody else? That's just Kimberly. So can we use me, we, us?
No,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Hmm?
Can't use me.
All right. So it is not referring to the writer or any group. All right. So it is referring to what? All right. So Mrs. Ferrara is back. So I'll just allow her to take over. All right.
all right, so we were on the note of determining what pronouns we use to highlight what perspective or stories are told from. So if we use I, me, and my for first person, looking at pronouns now, what pronouns would you use to show that it is not I, me? You're telling the story, but you're not the voice of the story. You're only relating the story. What pronouns would we use? Or what pronouns can be used, should be used?
They, she, their, it.
Thank you. Yes, correct. So I have something that I'd like to share again. Internet is giving me a fight. but nonetheless, can everybody see that? Let me bring it up a little more. Are you seeing it?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Good. So this story is entitled The Frog. Exposition. Parents never let me stay home alone, but one night the babysitter cancels and they have to. Everything starts off fine. I'm having a great time. Now here is where the conflict starts. I see a frog in the hall. I am totally afraid of frogs, so I freak out. Rise in action. I hide from it. I try and fail to trap it in a trash pan rather. I try and fail to get it into a bag. Or climax, I chase the frog out of the house with a tennis racket. Fall in action. I spend the rest of the night cleaning up my mess. I get into pajamas and watch TV. My parents come home. Happy that things seem okay. My parents plan another outing. Solution. I consider asking to not be left alone. Then realize the frog incident showed me I'm stronger than I thought. Do we understand what happens here? What is happening here? Are we understanding
Yes,
what
miss.
is happening here on our plot diagram?
Yes, miss.
Good. Do you think it is difficult for you to map something out like this when you see the topic? Do you believe it's
No,
difficult?
no, miss. No, not at all.
Cannot be difficult. No. There is a section on Mr. Hardy. Mr. Hardy,
Yes, miss, I'm right here.
can you share the screen again for me to see your page with the questions?
All right.
In the meantime, Mr. Hardy is sharing. Are you aware of the internet? Whoa,
I was trying to steal something from you, so.
okay. So let me continue. Are you aware of the little incident the incident that happened recently in Kingston with some men going to rob the shopkeeper, having gone in and shot the shopkeeper? They were accosted by the police and there was a shootout.
Yes, miss.
Right. That is what I'd like for you to use on the plot diagram for me. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes, miss.
Right. So you're going to use that little thing that happened. You're going to give me an exposition. You're going to give me the conflict, rise in action, climax, fall in action, and resolution. Quickly.
And I'm to be reminded, miss, that I'm supposed to relay the story to you in English, right? Because already
Yes, please.
the dialect is riveting in my head.
Right. It should be in English. However, remember that we are given a little leeway where we can interject Creole, but it has to be dialogue that we interject Creole in. So that's the only little leeway we are given. And might I add, Mr. Hardy, that I tend to dissuade my students from interjecting Creole, because
Yes.
sometimes when they do that, they get carried away and their stories
End up having
become
dialect where it's not
dominant.
supposed to be. Yes.
Yes. And sometimes they believe that in order for something to be considered Creole, every word in it has to be Creole. It is not so. It is not so. One word can change everything in your sentence.
Yes.
And the use of one word incorrectly can now cause your entire thing to be Creole, and we don't want that. So because of that, and then we have to be mindful that we have a mother tongue that speaks only Creole.
Yes.
And students, we ought to be mindful also of the fact that text messaging, whatever we use in text messaging, is not applicable here, please. These markers are not asked to mark, to read text messaging. So you might write something and you believe that no, it cannot be like that. So let's stick to the evil that we know and the evil that we keep on practicing, which is the use of standard Jamaican English. Are you ready for me now? Quickly. Mr. Hardy, have they left me?
No, miss, we are still here.
Oh, because I was about to cry. And I don't want you to see me cry, because when I cry, I'm very ugly. So can anybody come up with the exposition? Exposition. I remember now, it doesn't have to be detailed. So let's look at the plot diagrams before us. Beginning of story where characters and setting are introduced. So let's hear somebody saying what would be the beginning of this little scenario that we have, this little situation that we're looking at. What would be the beginning? Who are the characters that are presented here?
Exposition would be when the gunman went to the store and robbed the man.
But no, let's not look at it like that. And if we write our stories like that, remember, you are given a limit. It's 400 to 450 words. So if you put too many things in your first paragraph, you're going to run into problems. We don't want that. Remember, beginning of the story where characters and setting are introduced. So we're using the plot diagram on the left-hand side. Let's leave out the blue slot for right now. So who are the characters?
The shopkeeper.
Gunman and the shopkeeper.
The gunman and the shopkeeper. What setting would be here too?
Would be at the shop.
At the shop. The time of day. Do you think the time of day would matter here?
Yes.
Yes, it was
Yes,
in the
miss.
morning. So it was in the morning. We can also give the time too. So we are moving on. What would cause the conflict? Your time now, Mordecai, where you added something a while ago. What
when
did
the
you say to
gunman
me
robbed
earlier?
the shopkeeper.
When the gunmen, some 3 men went to rob a shopkeeper. That would be the conflict. Isn't that so?
Yes, miss.
Come on, people, talk right. Where would be the rising action now? Where the character faces a series of conflicts. So tell me what happened.
When they buck up on the policeman then.
Listen, please remember, use of language, young man.
When they were apprehended by the police.
But that is not real. That's not right.
That
We
is
could
not
that.
where It starts,
Right. It was when they did what?
they shot the
They
shopkeeper.
shot him. Yes, you can't leave out anything. Everything is crucial to your story. So the rising action would begin when they shot the man, took his money, and attempted, they left. Attempted to get away. Now, left the area or the exact vicinity of where it happened. What followed? What happened?
Police were
The police was
alerted.
alerted.
Police, that's right, that's correct. The police accosted, should I use accosted? They came upon the police. So let's say they came upon the police. What happened? That's not the only thing. They didn't just see the police and the police said to them, hi, wagwan man, me can't buy a drink. Was that what happened?
No, miss.
Yes.
Oh, miss.
So tell me what happened.
Heavy
Or the police
gunfire.
never say, wagwan party a long time, me no see you. No.
Police have shootout.
Mordecai,
No.
listen to me. You want to tell me that police are madmen? Because the police just saw these men and say, say me shoot up their man, yeah.
Mordecai like gunsmiths, that's why.
Apparently, sir. So tell me, people, come on.
The
So
police
somebody
were
help
on the
Mordecai.
There was a report at the police station about some men that just robbed a store and shot a shopkeeper.
So listen to me now. Mordecai, we're going backward, and we're not supposed to go backwards. We're going forward now. Because was it after the policemen saw these men that they got the report, or was it before? So we're looking at it. So we don't know. These policemen saw suspicious looking characters or men. Isn't that so?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Yes, that's, and listen now, remember people, we can always draw in our real life experiences into our stories. There is no stone written that we can't do that. So based on what we know now, it's going to be in our stories. So here we have these law-abiding citizens who are here to protect and serve, and they saw these suspicious-looking men. And we know how, when bad men see police, how they behave, how they behave. How do they behave?
They retaliate.
Look here, they start to go on with their foolishness. And they were the ones who started to shoot. So by the time they started to shoot, what happened? The police had to do what? Retaliate. Knowing when all of
fire.
this Western, this John Wayne thing started. Tell me some of the things that happened. Remember, people, we are talking about the climax. We don't want any climax that is flatter than flat bridge. Because if it's flatter than flat bridge, you're going to fall off, and that's likely that you won't be found. So we don't want that. Good? We want something that when the marker starts to read, listen to me, the marker can't put the story down. So here we have these policemen battling against these lawbreakers. And then now you start to give the description. Bruce Lee. So we have one, is Bruce Lee fighting against who? John Wayne or Clint Eastwood, right, Mr. Hardy?
Yes, miss.
Yes, man. So we
Let them know, so we watch them too.
Look here, now, man. We see, listen, you people didn't see the video or the picture with the policeman come in off him. The bike was lying on the ground, and he come off the bike, and where did the policeman go hide?
He was behind a
Behind a car.
Okay.
I saw the hide him, I take over.
Cover.
Thank you. Thank you. He took cover. So in our stories now, we're not going to write that he took cover behind a vehicle. Behind a little shed. Behind us and a little stall. Yes. So that is our rising, our climax. Now we get to the falling action part of it. What happens in the falling action?
The policeman,
The gunmen were shot by the
Remember the
police.
use of the language.
the
What
gun,
happened?
the policeman after the shootout.
Yes. Was anybody shot fatally or wounded?
Yes, miss.
Fatally.
Two of the
Yes.
gunmen.
Yes. Yes. So you have in the falling action now, you have persons or gunmen who were fatally shot, and others were just, or one was wounded. So the one who was wounded was in the resolution. So that's the falling action. The falling action now gives us a sum up of the casualties, so to speak. Good. Person shot to death. A policeman was also wounded. One of the gunmen was found hiding. That means nothing has happened to him. So in our resolution now, the persons who were shot were taken to the hospital. And under police what? Under police what?
Police guard.
God.
That's right. That's right. Under police guard, and were further arrested and charged. Now tell me, students, did we just write a story?
Yes,
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Did we write a story?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Is story so nice, don't know? Tell me the truth.
Yes.
Of course. Has to be. Mr. Heidi, what do you think about our story?
Yes, miss. I love the story. I mean, it is
Okay.
actually a perfect representation. I mean, one of the good things that I like about their recollection of the event is that they are current with information, and so the truth
That's
is
right.
they write from their experience, and just as how they're able to describe in color what happened in that situation, that's the kind of imagery that they need to bring into their
Yes.
essays.
And remember now, students, you see, when we describe, we are not writing a descriptive story. However, we must describe. We must use our verbs that are vivid, the verbs that have actions. We can incorporate also some literary devices. We can use our metaphors. We can use our similes. So the policeman that was hiding, that took covering or refuge, then under the stall, we can use a simile to tell us what he looked like. And we would have had our complete stories with all of the prerequisites inside. All right?
And I mean, one thing that you did perfectly well too, Mrs. Ferraro, that they probably need to understand and underscore is how they adapt the story. Because when they spoke of, I think it was Mordecai who mentioned that he took cover behind the vehicle, and how you
Yes.
change that vehicle now to a stall, to a tree,
Yes.
to a building, to a, so it's
Anything.
basically
Listen,
just for
under the bed.
exactly.
So we have to, let's not try when we go to the exam, because we see, look at this little house. Look at this little house being projected here. If you know the amount of things that can come from you writing a story based on this picture that is here, if we look at the prompt that is given, everyone thought Samuel had everything. He was a successful young businessman. I'm not seeing it so good, so well.
Miss, it need to come over on the screen a bit.
Then the unexpected happened. So maybe you would have seen it, right? I remember, I think it was last week or the week before, I gave my students a prompt. Go away, go away. You are not welcome here. And you're asked to begin your story with these words. You hear what it said? go away, you're not welcome here. And one girl in class, she decided to write. All I asked her was the introduction, and she started to write. And listen, from the onset, you could see that her character is a male character. But then when she started to describe the character, you could have sworn that the character was Princess Diana, based on how that character dressed. So right then and there, we knew where the story was going. So I'm going to ask, I hope this little section with the stories proved helpful. Mr. Hardy made mention about the WhatsApp group. What I'm going to do is these little things that I've used, these little stimulus that I've used or stimuli, I will incorporate, I'll send it to him for him to put it in the group so you'll have use of it. Mr. Hardy, on the same breath, can you project section D for me? Final section.
Give me 1 second, miss.
Can I go now, sir?
Yes, miss.
All right. Please don't get weary on me. This is our final section, section D. And here we have our argumentative section. You're also given a limit, approximately 250 to 300 words in length. Now, you are given only one question for this section, so you must answer the question. Now, it can be that CSEC requires you to write a persuasive essay, or CSEC is requiring you to write an argumentative essay. Now, based on the question that is given, how will you know which essay you should write? Can anybody answer that question? Hello? Knock, knock.
Who is there? Let us hear what Shellet Kelly has to say, miss.
Okay, Shellet. How do you determine which are the essays CSEC wants you to write?
Miss, based on the content, based on what the question is asking you for, I'm assuming that's how you would determine whether you write a persuasive or argumentative essay.
So I am listening for something specifically, and I think you're, it appears that you have become the policeman in this story a while ago now, because you're under a stall.
She has not.
And I don't want you to dodge me.
Miss, I was trying to pinpoint it, but I can't, honestly.
Okay.
We can probably ask Carissa Stewart, miss.
Carissa?
Yes, miss.
Can you tell us, all of us in this forum, how do you determine which essay CSEC wants you to write in this section, be it a persuasive or an argumentative? How do you determine? What do you use in the question that will help you to decide that, yes, this is the kind of essay CSEC wants me to write? All right, so let me help you out. Now, if you look right here, can you move your marker for me, Mr. Hardy, please, your cursor?
Yes.
Down to where it says, write an essay giving your views on this statement.
All right.
Right. all of that, that one sentence determines which essay you write. Now, when it says write an essay giving your views on this statement, you are expected to write an argumentative essay. I hope everybody is jotting down. Is that clear?
Yes,
I was about to say
Yes,
type M,
miss.
Mr. Hardy.
Yes, miss.
When you see that little thing, that sentence that says, write an essay giving your views on this statement, you're expected to write an argumentative essay. Now, if you should see not this statement, but you will see write an essay either supporting or opposing this statement, you are expected to write a persuasive essay. Let me say it again. When you see the statement, write an essay giving your views on this statement, you are expected to write an argumentative essay. When you see the statements that says, write an essay either supporting or opposing this statement, you are expected to write a persuasive essay. All right. So we are clear about that. Now, based on the question presented before us, which type of essay should we write?
Argumentative.
Argumentative. Now, what is it that we present, or what is it that we write? What does CSEC expect from us when we write an argumentative essay? When it says give your views, what is it that CSEC is expecting us to give? One, advantages, disadvantages, and your opinion. Let me say it again. Now, when you're expected to write an argumentative essay, CSEC is expecting you to present advantages, disadvantages, and your opinion. Clear, everybody?
yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Now let's look at the question that's here. Bodybuilding competitions and beauty pageants are degrading to men and women. Mr. Hardy. Mr.
Yes, Mrs. Warrow.
Hardy,
Yes, miss.
I need a concept map.
Okay. All right.
I need a circle and yes.
Just you want me to do it at the same time?
Sorry about that. Repeat that for me, please.
You want an actual
Yes.
concept map, or you want me to be doing that at the same time?
Doing it at the same time.
All right, good.
Right. So that is our concept map. I hope everybody is seeing the concept map. Now, what I encourage all of my students to do, every section of the paper, for every section of the paper, CSEC gives you a blank area to make your notes. Now, in your blank section, you are going to put this little concept map. Now, if we were to look at the 5-paragraph essay, you must have 3 solid points which you will be discussing in the body of your essay. Am I right?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Yes, miss.
So before we get to the concept map, tell me, looking at the 5-paragraph essay, what would each paragraph comprise of? What would we have in each paragraph? What would be at the top? All right.
Introduction.
So we need, so the introduction, right? Now, in the introduction alone, what would we have? Just looking at the introductory paragraph of our essays, what would be in the introductory paragraph?
What are you going to write about in the essay?
Yes, but I need that, Mr. Smith, that is just bones. Me not eat bone. I don't eat bone. So I need a little flesh.
About the statements about bodybuilding and pageant.
So all right, Mr. Hardy.
You would describe
Yes,
what is
miss.
bodybuilding.
1 minute, Mr. Hardy.
Yes, miss.
This aspect of it, it's going to take more than I think.
Okay.
So I don't know what could be arranged, because based on the responses,
Yes, miss.
I need, so let me, before I decide totally, can anybody tell me what a thesis statement is? Knock, knock. Mordecai, Kerisia, Shelet, if I'm not seeing the name, so I'm just
Does
calling
it
out from memory.
include the main points?
Yes, but what exactly is a thesis statement? All right, so Mr. Hardy.
It gives an insight of what the essay will be about.
So the thesis statement gives an insight about what the essay or the points that will be discussed in the body of the essay. Who answered me a while ago? Was it Shelet?
No, Miss Aisha.
Okay. Well, I'm not seeing the names, as I said, so please forgive me. Apart from Aisha, did anybody else know of this?
Yes, miss.
Who is saying yes? I can't see the names.
Kimberly.
Kimberly, so that makes 2 of you. How many other persons knew about this?
I knew about it, Miss. Kelly.
Miss, I knew about it, miss, but I didn't remember.
All right, so let's start then. So the introductory paragraph must have a topic sentence. In addition to the topic sentence, we have supporting details. Now, the supporting details can come in the form of an overview or background information about the topic that we are presently writing about. In addition to the overview and the supporting details, we will have our thesis statement. Now, the thesis statement is all the 3 main points that will be discussed in the body of our essay. So here we have a topic looking at bodybuilding competitions and beauty pageants are degrading to men and women. Right. So we are now going to decide the 3 main points, 3 reasons why this is so. So come on, tell me now. Tell me some of the reasons why body building competitions and beauty pageants are degrading to men and women. So it can, and remember that we are writing a persuasive. It could be the square box, you know, Mr. Hardy, instead of the circle here.
Okay.
So remember now that we are writing an argumentative essay, and as such, we need to give the pros, the cons, and your opinions. Good? So the 3 points that you give here, 2 can be advantages and 1 can be a disadvantage. Or 2 can be a disadvantage, 2 are disadvantages, and 1 is an advantage. Let's go. Mr. Hardy.
Yes, miss.
On the thesis statement, can you just put in bracket 3 main points that will be discussed in the body of the essay, in brackets? Nobody can think of anything to bodybuilding competitions and beauty pageants that are degrading to men and women.
We should ask them, miss, if they think it is degrading and wherever they are.
So, Mr. Hardy,
Yes,
why I'm asking them like this? When they go to the exam, they will have to determine within themselves.
Yes.
If it is. So that's all I'm trying to do now. Get them to look at the topic and decide which side really they will take.
Miss, it can affect their health, miss.
So it can affect the health. How so? And remember, you know, the points that we give, the points has to be points that are expoundable. When I say that, I mean we should be able to do what? Explain. So if it means that after we language.
So when they take like steroids and those things is to put on to get extra muscle, missing might affect them down when they get older.
But listen, yes, Mordecai, but listen, we can't do it one-sided. Both are incorporated. So it says bodybuilding and beauty pageants degrade men and women. So you have to in beauty pageants take steroids?
No, miss.
No. So we have to think broad. We have to think wide. So let me give you a point.
Self-esteem.
It builds.
Yes, ma'am.
It builds. It boosts self-esteem. It boosts self-confidence. You never see the other day, recently, Steve Harvey featured I think the woman was 80 years confidence. It boosts self-esteem. So, Mr. Hardy, my internet is going to go. All right. So, we use this map to jot our points down so that when we actually start writing, we will remember our points. Now, So if we put build self-esteem, it boosts confidence too. That's one. What would we use as what could we use as the second point? What could be used? Let me add to what Mordecai said a while ago. It promotes illnesses. So one, he said for the bodybuilding, men has to take steroids. Good? Am I speaking to myself?
I'm listening, miss.
Okay. So he said men has to take steroids, and further down in life, these steroids will affect the health of men. Now, in addition to that, beauty pageants also the women in beauty pageants will also be affected based on how they care for themselves. Now, when you enter a beauty pageant, and I think we are missing the point a little too, because let's look back at the topic. Bodybuilding and beauty pageants degrade men and women. Now let's look at one of the words there that's key to whatever we have to do. Degrade. What does it mean when it says degrade?
Miss,
Miss,
like
To get less, to get less or to go
when
down, miss.
it belittle
Yes,
you.
right. So it is based on that. Now you are going to come up with your three main ideas. If you agree with it, you now need to find ideas or think about ideas that will say, well, this is so. So if we're looking at supporting or not supporting what this statement is saying, we can go ahead and say it's not true. In fact, you believe bodybuilding and beauty pageants help men and women. How is it that bodybuilding and beauty pageants help men and women? One, it builds confidence. That's what we said. Good?
Yes, miss.
Where's Mr. Hardy? He's not writing. One, it builds confidence. Two, it promotes a healthy lifestyle. Isn't that so?
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
miss.
Right. Give me another one now. Give me another one. So one, it builds and it boosts confidence and self-esteem. Two, what did we say for two? It
Healthy
promotes healthy
lifestyle.
living.
healthy lifestyle.
Yes, our healthy lifestyle. That's two. Three, what does three does? Tell me something that three we can use for three.
It encourages people to have a healthy lifestyle also.
No, Mr. Hardy. Mr. Hardy, put promotes a healthy lifestyle in a different text box for me, please. But what did the person say a while ago?
It encourages people to have a healthy lifestyle.
It's the same thing as healthy lifestyle. That's you just saying what I said in a different way. So tell me something. Tell me something else that's positive about it. And remember now, people, that because it is argumentative, we say that we have to give the pros, the cons.
It builds awareness.
How so? Remember I said, when we come up with our points, our points must be moot. When I say moot, we must be able to debate about the points. We must be able to discuss the points, speak about the points. Only 3 persons are in the chat, the forum right now. Some persons are not saying anything. Come on, people, come on. Please go blank on me now. I could have sworn that I typed this. I don't know what happened. Nobody else with any other point? Think you have to, what if you were in an exam? Remember, we are working on the 5-paragraph essay. So this is our introduction. 1 paragraph. 2nd paragraph, 3rd paragraph, 4th paragraph. And then our 5th paragraph, Mr. Heidi, would be our conclusion. So it goes somewhere else.
Miss, how about building discipline or dedication?
Correct? Yes. So it promotes discipline in oneself. Right. Thank you. I'll work with that. Thank you, sir. All right. So the conclusion now, put your colon and you're going to write, re-emphasize,
All right, so we may have lost Mrs. Ferraro there. What I'm going to encourage you students to do is to begin looking at topics that are within our society, especially social issues, and actually try to see how you can develop your views on all of the issues that are affecting us. It's important for you to, especially at this time, to gather your thoughts, because when you go into the examination, and one of the key and critical thing about English language is you already know what the structure of the examination is going to be. You know that you're going to have to write some sort of reporting. You know that you're going to have a summary. You know that you're going to have a expository. You know that you're going to have a story. So you basically have an idea of what those pieces of work are going to be. So gather your thoughts around what is it that you want to do, so that in the end, you're not taken off guard. So you can wait until the day of the examination that you're going to try and have some information about something. You should be reading broadly so that you actually have some information. And as Mrs. Ferrara said, if your points are not debatable, if you can't develop them, it makes no sense you use it as a point. All right, Mrs. Ferrara is back, and so we'll give over to her. You may need to unmute, Mrs. Ferraro.
All right. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay. So we were, Mr. Hardy, could you, oh, let me see if I can do it from here. Yes, yes. All right. So, all right. You're going to write, re-emphasize the main points in your introduction. Good. No. People, what we are seeing right here is our argumentative essay rather. Please excuse me for that error, mistake. Whatever you're seeing here is our argumentative essay. Now remember, as was stated earlier, in order when we write an argumentative essay, we must give the pros, the cons, and your views. Everybody with me?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Now, for each point, in addition to stating each of these, you are going to give the opposite effect, right? So let's quickly look at builds, boost, and confidence and self-esteem. Apart from it does that, you should also note that you have some persons who see it as insult because of body shame, right? So that is what it does. Is that clear?
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
miss.
Right. It builds one aspect, and then in some persons, and then if you look at it, it breaks another person when it comes to self-esteem and self-confidence. Now, if you look at number 2, where it promotes healthy lifestyle, right? It does so in one aspect. And as Mordecai said earlier, yes, men must take steroids. They have to eat healthy. But women too. So it's not only for bodybuilding, but also for beauty.
All right, so I'll just pick up from where Mrs. Ferraro was discussing a while ago. As you look at both sides of the coin, because you don't want to present something that is imbalanced. You want to make sure that you are giving all the information that exists. No point is ever one-sided. So as she mentioned, when you spoke about the men taking the steroids, the women take the steroids as well. But so you're not going to speak of, because it's primarily men who take steroids and to bulk themselves, you know, it's the image or the brand that they want to put out there. Also, as you speak of that, you recognize that especially some of the products that are being sold to the public, they are sold based on the kind of persons who use them. And both men and women partake in this kind of, so, you know, if somebody wants it, especially to be on the cover of, you know, Vogue magazine, and so you'd recognize that those models kind of have to have a particular healthy lifestyle in terms of what they eat, their portion control, all of those things. A bodybuilder may not necessarily have to do that because of the fact that, you know, he wants to be muscular and, you know, and so that builds for him also his self-esteem and his confidence. And we probably can just be honest about it. You know, it also makes him feel as if he has some sort of protective agent in his system. So a woman may feel protected around him because of the fact that, you know, to the public, he may seem stronger than everybody else. You know, the women too might just be a turn off because of the fact that the muscles being built up may, you know, show them to be masculine and so and such like. But at the end of the day, what they eat helps to give them that kind of structure, which you and I will not have if we just eat the simple food. So when you speak about it, what does the healthy lifestyle do for them? But also you can say when they do these things to their body over time, even though they may look muscular and strong, it deteriorates their other systems. And because it deteriorates their other systems, to them it may not seem to be something that is wrong, but later down in life it may affect them. They may have erectile dysfunction. They may have heart disease because for them it is just about the moment, how they can look. You understand me? And they seem okay. They are fine for sure at that time because it helps them to be able to lift the weights. It helps them to be able to do all of those things. But then comes the point. Over time, if they continue to do this, to live on the steroids, and even for those who model to continue to deprive themselves of some food and some nutrients, they may develop lifestyle diseases along the way. Have I lost Mrs. Ferrara again? And when yes, miss, your turn.
Yes, just to add to that, there is also on the point of promote a healthy lifestyle. There is also the fact that women, when they try to get into these beauty competitions, beauty pageants, they must maintain a certain weight. No, a lot of us, it's a struggle to maintain that weight. When we eat, so they eat what it is that they're not supposed to eat. And then they have to go in privacy and do things to cause all of what they have eaten to come up. That promotes anemia. And there is also another disease. I don't remember what it's called. No, that promotes also. So it actually makes the person ill, gravely ill, to the point of hospitalization when that happens. So that's also another disadvantage. Though it promotes a healthy lifestyle on one hand, on the other hand, or the other side of the coin, you can look at the bad that it does. All right? Now, promotes discipline in oneself. How is this? Yes, that's a good thing. But how can we look at discipline being bad at the same time? Am I alone?
Oh, miss.
All right. So I believe
here.
you would have pardon me?
I'm saying Kimberly's here.
Oh, Kimberly?
Everyone is here. It's not me alone.
Now, what we want to hear from you, Kimberly, and then Galaxy.
I was the one that suggests two of the points.
That's all right, man. We want to hear what you have to say about how can discipline be bad.
My connection is very unstable, Mr. Hardy. So that's
Okay.
why I keep throwing me out. So I'm just trying to go trying to
Sure,
go
miss.
as quickly as possible to close off. Now, when we have the pros and the cons, that will balance our essay, and that's what we want. Now, what else do we put in this essay? Though it's a 5-paragraph essay, we can have evidence, proof that what we have said in our essay is true. Now, this proof comes in different form. Good? So we can have authoritative evidence. We can speak to statistics. We can speak to research. And that's why, as Mr. Hardy said earlier, we need to read wide. We need to listen wide. We need to take part in conversations that will edify us widely, not just to our little games that we play or just to about a song. See, gone again. No.
You're still here with us, miss. You're still here with us. All right, so I can just imagine how, Mrs. Farm, might feel coming to the point of closure on her presentation, and her internet just keeps giving. Yeah. All right. Yes. So you're back with us, miss.
Yes. So as I was saying, that we need authoritative evidence, empirical evidence too. I wish we had more time for us to look individually at what all of these are. Well, however, you can look them up and get a feel and get an understanding of what they are. Now we are down to the conclusion. Now let me just say, students, whatever you put in here, you cannot introduce anything that is new in your conclusion. And if you note right here, you'll see re-emphasize the main points in your introduction. So you're just going to restate in conclusion, conclusively, concomitantly, in addition to the aforementioned points above, bodybuilding and beauty pageants degrade men and women. This is not a statement which I agree with. And you go back and you list or just change the word order of your main points, and voila, your essay is finished. Just like that. What I'm going to suggest that you do, earlier when we looked at narrative writing, we looked at the plot diagram. In that little section of the paper that you're asked to make your notes, as you get the paper and you start, please ensure that you map out your story using the plot diagram. Even though it is not marked, the marker will look to see, just say for instance, not something we want, but you're not finished writing the story. If you have your plot diagram mapped out, the marker would look at it and see where you were going. Not to mark it, but to say, all right, this student was on the right path. Good? It is the same thing for the argumentative section. Please ensure that you have your map there, your circle drawn with your three arrows or sticks or whatever pointing from it, your statement in the center, and the 3 points that you're going to be discussing. Now, Mr. Hardy, quickly go back to the page where you drew the map for me.
All right, give me a second. That's a concept map?
Yes.
All right. Just give me 1 second, please. Let's get back to my presentation. This one? Or this one?
I'm not seeing it.
This one? You're not seeing anything?
No. Yes, but I'm seeing the plot diagram. I'm referring to yes, this is it. Now, students, if you look at the points that are here, 1, 2, 3. All of these 3 points will go in your thesis statement right here in your introduction. As such, just as how you have them listed here in, Mr. Hardy, please use your little red mark thing for no. Just as how you have them listed here, that's how you will have them in the body of your essay. You cannot, under no circumstance rather, you will have build self-esteem as first, promotes healthy lifestyle, and promote discipline. The order that is here, that's the order you will have. Put whatever order you have in your introduction, that's how you are going to discuss it in the body of your essay. That is organization. And if you don't do it like that, you will be marked down for it. So if when I take up the essay and I look and I see you have builds and boosts confidence and self-esteem, that is the paragraph I expect to see after the introductory paragraph. Clear, everybody?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Sure. Are there any questions? Any questions?
Miss,
Not for
Mordecai,
me.
Kimberly,
miss, a question
Shelette?
here.
Yes?
Yes, miss. A question here. So in the conclusion, where we would
Yes.
put back pointer 1, we would use transitional word to link the sentences with the other 2 pointers.
Yes. And that's more, yes, yes, yes. And it shows that you know something about it and you're following. So, in addition to, when we write our essays, basically, we don't just write the essays. We use transitional words and phrases. Sometimes we call them link words. We call them subordinative conjunctions too, in order to allow our essays to flow, right? Just as I said before, in addition to the aforementioned points above, and you continue. So you use your traditional words and phrases or your connectives throughout the body of your essay to show link. Means that everything is related. One paragraph is related to the other.
Okay, thank you, miss.
You're welcome. Do we have any more questions? Well, Mr. Hardy,
Okay.
that would have completed the paper. All of
Thank you.
paper 2.
Thank you so very much, Mrs. Ferraro. Students, I'm going to ask you, please, to use the emojis on your Zoom to, give a thumbs up, a clap hand, a happy face, whatever it is that you're feeling now, to Mrs. Ferraro for the presentation that she made to us. Mrs. Ferraro, it was a great presentation. I must tell you, amidst the challenges that we have,
Yes.
we really enjoyed.
I believe someone has raised their hand.
Yes, I think she took it down, but I will get back to her. Shelette, do you have a question, a concern, anything at all?
I was just going to commend Miss Farah. I can't call the word good, you know.
Ferraro.
Language, please.
Miss Ferraro, for a wonderful presentation. I have gone so much from her presentation, and I just want to say a big thank you. You made it seem so, what's the word I should use? It was so,
easy.
It was very clear to us, miss. And I thank you for the additional information. Some we knew and some were very new to me today. I thank you a whole lot. Thanks a million.
You're most welcome. I'm glad I could be of help.
Yes.
Thank you.
And
so
so
how do you need to have one for literature?
You see, I am happy that you are, we didn't want to burden you, but the fact that you are able to, say that you are willing to give us a literature session, I think we will probably try to fit that into our scheme of things. We're really, I know it is holiday, and I know you probably, would want to spend the time. But
to be honest, I just planned on spending an hour, 1 hour.
I know we spoke of the time, but you see what the time does.
Yes, I know.
But,
and then they were eager, so
yes,
why not?
Yes.
Why not?
We really thank you
for having me
on behalf of the Savlamar District Youth Federation for taking the time out to be with us, and also for the students to come to participate in this session to help this to be a fruitful occasion. And we hope and trust that as they go to prepare and to practice, because it cannot end today. It means, therefore, that this stimulus that you get should now begin to put into action your conflict, because your conflict is supposed to be where you go with your information to prepare for your examination. And the climax for us is going to be when you sit that examination, and you know what the rising action is going to be? Every single day you take the time to prepare some examination techniques, and you go. And then when the climax comes, the examination, you sit it, and then the falling action is when you smile, and the resolution being when you wait until you get that grade 1 in English, and remember that you put the work in. You can do it. I will believe in you, and the reason that we have this to help you. And so we ask you, please join the WhatsApp group. Whatever resources we have, we will share them there so that you can continue to prepare. If you have any questions and you want to ask, you can ask in the group. I will contact Mrs. Ferraro, and we will get the information back to you. So Mordecai, if you're not a part of the group, then we're not sure how best we will be able to negotiate for a literature presentation. And since, as you have indicated, that that would be helpful for you, we ask that you join the group, and we will keep you posted as to what happens. All right. So again, thank you, Mrs. Farrow. Do enjoy the rest of your day. On behalf of the leadership. Yes, on behalf of the leadership of Sub-District, Pastor Donald, and the rest of the team, we say thank you, and we will continue to partner together to bring education and a change in our society. So before we go, let us just bow our heads for prayer. Our Heavenly Father and God, we give you thanks for all that we have accomplished. We're grateful that your presence was ever near us. And despite the challenges that we have, you have allowed us to recognize that we are able to be more than overcomers. And so we thank you for these few minutes, these hours. And as your children go now, Lord God, to put into practice what is it that they have learned, we pray, God, that you will allow it to be a blessing to them. Continue to bless Mrs. Ferrara and her family as she continues to give of herself to benefit these young people and all the other young people that she will come in contact with. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too, and everyone.
Everybody.
Thank you very much.
So our next presentation is going to be on May 30. Same link, same time, 9:30, and that will be on social studies. And our final one before we wrap in the literature will be on June 6th with human and social biology. So if you know of those sessions and you know of anybody, as we bring Christ to you, we also bring these messages to you. They are free. We're not charging. We're just offering our time to make. So anybody that you want to invite, you are free to invite them to be here with us. All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. All righty.